We have had some breaking news today, some that is not really surprising, but then some that it's not really breaking news, but it's expected news that we knew was coming, we just didn't know when. We have now been given an estimated timetable for that, and then some other various things that we'll talk about. A lot going on, a lot just in the last 30 minutes, really, but one of the biggest points of topic that we'll talk about today is Denny Hamlin and his future at Joe Gibbs Racing. Him and his sponsor FedEx have signed multi-year extensions with Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin, and FedEx have been partnered together for 15 years now. So they've been working together. They've been on his car for that so long. They've won so many races together, over 40. I can't think of the exact number off the top of my head right now, but obviously a lot of success together. 3 Daytona 500s, over 40 wins in the Cup Series. Not a championship yet, still possible, but they've had a lot of success together, those 3 partners of Gibbs, FedEx, and Hamlin, so they're going to be staying together. But it also answers another question. People were not sure what Denny Hamlin was going to do. His contract was up at the end of this year. They didn't know. After he announced that he would be taking an ownership position in a new team, 2311 Racing, people didn't know if he was going to go race for 2311 Racing, if he was going to maybe retire early so he could focus on the ownership side of things. There was a lot of, not rumors, but people were guessing what he was going to do. No one was sure. There were no real rumors to what he was going to do. He seems like he's enjoying his time in the car, so I kind of assumed that he would like to stay in the car. But, I wasn't completely sold that he would stay with Joe Gibbs Racing. He's been there his whole career, but you never know. Maybe he would go to his own team so he could drive for himself or something like that. I wasn't sure if it would be stressful to own one team but then race for another team. I wasn't sure if that would be stressful for him or if it would be too much for him so he would go to his own team. I didn't know. Obviously, this answers the question. Hamlin is going to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 11 car. Remember, just a few years ago, there were people saying that Hamlin was going to get booted out of the 11 car for an Eric Jones or something, or a different young driver in the Toyota development program that would boot out Denny Hamlin for one of those guys, because I think it was like 2018 he had a really bad year, and then in 2019 he won 6 races and made it to the championship race. Last year he won 7 or 8 races and made it to the championship race. So after that, he started winning. He's still yet to win that championship. He is one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history to not win a championship, but the last 2 seasons he has been on fire. He's won 13 races in the last 2 seasons. Led a lot of laps, and then obviously the championship, whatever we call it now, the championship race, he's made an appearance in the last 2, and he also made another appearance back in 2014, and then obviously competed for the championship with Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick back in 2010. So Hamlin's consistently been winning in his career. He's been competing for championships, but this is just an extra couple of years for him to stay at Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, they have great loyalty to each other, it seems like. But yeah, that's that. Nothing else there, really. It just says multi-year contract extension. I'm not seeing any details to how many years it is. Obviously, this isn't like the NBA or NFL where it's like, LeBron James, 4-year, $200 million extension. I don't know, something like that. But NASCAR doesn't really those teams don't give out that information, so I don't know much on that. But I do know it is a multi-year contract extension for FedEx and Joe Gibbs Racing and Denny Hamlin. They will be staying together. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to get any more sponsors for Hamlin. Hamlin's usually been running all 36 races with FedEx. I don't know if FedEx might back off a little bit and let some other people take sponsorship on the car. Really not sure, but it's been FedEx for quite a while. The next major thing we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite topic for the past over a year now. I don't know how long they've been testing this thing, but the next gen car is the big talk in the NASCAR world. Of course, the next car that NASCAR will be running in terms of different body, different shape, lots of different stuff, even different tires, the size of the tire, the size of the wheel, the lug nuts. So we're going to see this car, we're going to know what it is in late spring. That's what it says. It says they're expected to unveil. NASCAR said they're expecting to unveil it in late spring. That's all I know. But we've talked about it. It was supposed to be debuting this year at the Daytona 500, but then of course the COVID thing happened and it didn't debut. They had to push it back to 2022. So we'll see it next year at the Daytona 500 in 2022. But they had done tests. They had done some research on the car, talked to teams and stuff. But then when the whole Corona thing happened, everyone was like, "Oh, we got to shut everything down. We got to wait a bit." But they have done a lot of tests with this car. They've done tests at Daytona, the Charlotte Oval, the Charlotte Roval, Richmond, Fontana. Those are the only tracks I can think of right now. I think they've done more testing, but they do plan to do near the end of March at Martinsville. They hope to have each manufacturer on track with the next-gen car. It says all 3 NASCAR Cup Series teams have had their, manufacturers have had their body designs approved for their respective next-gen cars. So obviously they have to put in a certain design. You have to make sure it's okay. It's within the regulations. You can't have like any crazy parts on the body going, aerodynamic advantage, like major aerodynamic advantage or anything like that. You can't be using car steroids, basically, something like that. Someone could probably tell me in the comments with better technical terminology. That's not exactly my thing. Someone could probably explain it better. But that's what I got for you right there. But that does mean that all 3 manufacturers, they have a design for their car. They know what their car is going to look like. The Ford, the Chevy, the Toyota, they know what their next-gen car is going to look like. And I don't know if they're going to run it. I'm sure they're going to run a test at Martinsville, but they are going to do something there. And, I guess that's when we're going to know what the car looks like. They said late spring, but I don't know if they're going to actually have pictures of this car, but we don't know the details. We don't know. Obviously, there's been a big controversy the past few years with how the horsepower, the downforce, the spoiler, the splitter, lots of different things with the car that have been controversial. The last couple of years, NASCAR's lowered the horsepower, but they've raised the downforce. Of course, it makes the racing tighter in terms of like from 1st to 10th. It's much tighter, but that doesn't exactly mean side-by-side racing because dirty air is a factor. Sometimes it's hard to, you're able to draft on people more, but, once again, it's harder to pass because you can't really gain momentum. You can't get that, you don't really lift, you don't really brake, so it's kind of hard when you're just flooring it all the time. We've talked about this before, but yeah, they're probably determining that they probably haven't decided yet if they're going to run like a 750 package, a 650 package, what size spoiler, if they're going to run some type of different splitter. They're trying to figure all that out. I think at the Charlotte test they ran a 650 horsepower. But yeah, that's all the details I know for the next gen car. But we should know what it looks like by late spring. We should know all the details of it. As for the specific manufacturers, it looks like end of March at Martinsville. We'll know what the bodies are. We'll know what they look like in general. I'm sure all 3 manufacturers, they'll do something at Martinsville in like some type of test, and if they're all happy with how their cars ran there, then they'll do some grand unveil like, oh, here's what the car looks like. Remember with the Gen 6 car, they did that. Chevy had their own thing. Toyota had their own thing. Ford had their own thing. They went and, they had their big party. They're like, here's our new car. Woo! So, yeah. But next-gen car is very highly anticipated. People really want to see how this thing does on the track. They are looking forward to seeing the car in Daytona in 2022. So, yeah. Some other small, not, crazy big news today is that, but NASCAR says if a crew person behind the pit wall while grabbing a tire loses balance and puts a hand on pit road, they won't get a penalty this year. So there's also that rule that, if you're reaching over for a tire, like they roll the tire to you and you roll and you stretch too far and you fall over and it's too many men over the wall, then that won't be a penalty anymore because, they just fell over and it's fine. But yeah, it looks like that's the rule change there. The Xfinity Series field size will be 36 when there's qualifying. If qualifying is rained out or not scheduled, it will be 40. So 40 cars rather than 36. So that will be 36 for Daytona, Circuit of the Americas, Charlotte in May, Nashville, Indianapolis Road Course, Road America, and the Phoenix finales of the championship race. The truck field will increase from 32 to 36 for all events, and if no qualifying or if qualifying is rained out, it will be 40, same thing. But let's see here. As for the Bristol Dirt Race, this is another highly anticipated event in the 2021 season, the Bristol Dirt Race. First time NASCAR's running dirt since like 1970. They will have heat races to determine the lineup. They will not do like a qualifying lap. They will have like a short 8 to 10 laps, something like that. I think that's what they normally do. Of 10 cars or something, they'll go race and you go keep on racing, and then that's how you set the lineups. It's something like that. You dirt fans, you fans of dirt racing could tell it better, but heat races, basically, they're not going to do one lap qualifying. But yeah, that's all I know on that. But as for anything else, tomorrow we will do the rating paint schemes and stuff. We were supposed to do that today, but with all this news that came up, I figured I'd push that to tomorrow. If you do want updates, if I ever push a video back or if I change things on dates, I got the Twitters, and then I also got the community tab thing that I'll announce it on. But as for everything else, we will have a full season preview. I will upload that this weekend. I'm not sure which day, though. It will be Saturday or Sunday, so look out for that. Other videos this week, anything that pops up, news-wise, obviously, and then we're getting into the season preview, and we're going to be in the season. A week from tomorrow, the season starts at the Clash at the Daytona Road Course. Then we got the duels on Thursday, Trucks Friday, Saturday, Xfinity Sunday Cup, Daytona 500. So yeah, we're getting closer and closer. We're a week and 1 day away from cars back on track, so happy for that. See you tomorrow for the paint scheme talk.